let's try this again. Because evidently it kicked me off. But so, welcome to the live poetry reading. I'm the shoebox poet Clarence Plank. And I'm going to try and do this again. The link's in the comments page for my book on Amazon. That gives you a list of where they are. You can find them and to be able to purchase either the Kindle version, hardback, or paperback version of them. I haven't got to the point of making audios, and once I do, I will let y'all know. So, with the books, as you can see here, with the design that I came up with here, which is nothing new. I mean, people probably done this before, but this is what I do to make myself unique. And because the way KDP says the books, it actually has the poems to be on this side. And when I did that, it really didn't come out well because the poems, some of the lines were in the margins and had a lot of problems with those. I just wanted to show you something. So this is my first book, as you can see. This was the first one I did, and when I did it, this is what happened. You can see that the line a box and in the center still, but the font was too small. So I had to go back and fix all that. And that's why. So when I did that, to prevent it from being disappearing in the Kindle version, I did this. And that seemed like it made it a lot easier. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Untitled. There are words written beneath your skin as I trace my fingers along your goosebumps. Reading words written on your soul as it aches to feel my touch upon it. It speaks to my soul a long forgotten song of lovers and romance. The things that are made of legends where love transcends times and I taste heaven on your lips. And our journey leads us to this moment. Now this poem is untitled for several reasons because I really couldn't come up with a title at the time when I was going through the publication of this. But the other thing is, I saw this meme talked about how your soul, which is your higher self, have already come in contact with that special someone, your soulmate, your twin flame, or whatever how they put it these days. And your soul already knew that person way before you did. So the meme was basically our souls fucked long before our clothes hit the floor. And that got me to thinking about how a soul knows one soul to the next, even though because they can see each other visually, or they don't really see it because it's a light. So that's why I look at the fact of love. This is when you encounter somebody and they get that, you get those little prickly feelings on the back of your neck where your hair stands up, or you get goosebumps when you start talking to them, or you start kissing on you and things like that. So it's just the souls communicating to each other through the goosebumps underneath the skin. That language is in Braille. Runner. My imagination runs away with me from me when it comes to my future plans. So much so it hurts is trying to reel back my mind and it rests so much on you. But it has been fooled so many times by my heart, or even myself, and it's about a woman. Between the three of us, the beauty is a mirage, and when your skin is raw from being burnt so much, how do you find the courage to try and speak to a woman again? There's no flashbacks or pain, only doubt if she is real. And it's basically because you keep on running into different people, says men and women alike, and you just sit there. Sorry, the football game is on, and you just then you get to that point where like, oh shit, this is frustrating because you're supposed to have somebody else here, somebody to be able to um, make be friends with, and then gradually build into a relationship. But then it just you know things just fall off, off kilter and everything. So you end up you are looking for somebody else again. So twirl. I'm writing hashtags about poetry, so people will see my words, thoughts, and feelings. The emotions of being lonely and sometimes depressed, more so over how the year has seemed to progress. Further and further down the spiral of a toilet swirl, pin thoughts for everyone to see as the world keeps turning, slinging shit as it spins. This is basically written after the pandemic, and you pretty much guess where my mind was about things. Because you sit here and you're right and you're right and you're right and you put hashtags out here to try and get your words and stuff out here, out in the world or the internet where people can see it, and it's still just about as bad, just reading the headlines on certain news stories and stuff, or reading stories about things that go on. Verses. When you write sad verses and lines, sometimes the ink runs dry long before the tears do. Pretty much because you just all the hurt you deal with from that relationship. C. Your fingers dance along my chance to slowly unwinding them into the strands of my hair. You rested your head on my chest, sparkling eyes melt my heart. As I saw my reflection dancing in those pools, in the sea, tracing your face. With my hand, the world falls away, being lost in your love and in mine. Your lips meet mine as you rise to meet them before curling up with your hair laying on my chest. It was a feeling of you with your body draped over me like a cover, the warmth of your skin touching mine like silk and lace, rising against my flesh. I closed my eyes only for a moment, drifting off on stardust in the arms of my lover, to wake up cold because I had kicked off the covers while in my sleep. And basically, it's having that date, having that dream or a fantasy about being with somebody, and not in just the intimacy of being with someone, and not the sexual aspect, because you miss the intimacy of being with someone more than you do of loving somebody and having sex. Because when you can find somebody that has that same kind of emotional draw on you, where the intimacy of just being with somebody completely contradicts all the things about sex. I see something I got to fix. Nope, never mind. Running. Wake up to another day of a seamless madness. I'm no longer lonely, sad, or depressed, just numb to everything else around me. Days melt and blend into weeks where other people go about their lives. Finding love, myself in the madness in the middle of nowhere with my work and sleep, my only escape from the isolation and sickness. And this was during the pandemic. No, because I had published Words for a Muse and at that time Passion for the Passionate, which is now Words Beneath Your Skin, which is on that link. So I was still writing this when those books were out during the pandemic. Empire Glass. Ignore me if you like. Diss me. You just make me laugh, throw nice insults at my back. All you're doing is fueling my fire, fueling my desire to burn brighter and hotter than the supernova. Words trickle down between the cracks and into the void. Do you know what happens when you speak into the void? It answers back. But not in a way you would like. Tearing down others you just laid your foundation will make your empire of glass come crashing down around you. Somebody posted a thing and it said, people may get away with things, but they are they are taking out a loan, a karma loan. Just because right now everything may be fun and exciting for them and they can laugh and all that wonderful stuff because they screwed somebody over. But in the end, you build up that credit. When that credit starts becoming due, not that minimum payment that comes once a month, shit happens. Things happen. And people don't understand that. People think they can keep on getting away with stuff, so when, bad things happen to them, they're like, oh, I don't know why this has happened to me. Well, it's all that karma you built up doing stupid stuff, and you knew better, but you did it anyway. That's why. Imaginary. 1,000 faces and 1,000 traces of places that race through the cortex of my head. So many beauties of imaginary loves where my careless heart seems to soar. My left gone guarded so many lovers of unrequited hope, but their beauty was and still mesmerizing to me. And this is basically me writing about all the women that I had this infatuation with in one way or another. The fantasies, the real life people and everything. Or just, that one little, you find that person and you're like, oh god dang, that's the best person ever, and then it's just it. So one last one before we call it a night, because I know some people were getting ready to watch Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones, but House of the Dragon, which is coming on tonight. Beautiful. You have to unlearn sadness and embrace happiness. This is the only way you can truly learn to follow someone again, or to love someone again. Loving yourself is important, but learning boundaries and knowing what belongs to you will come to you, and it will be beautiful. And there are sometimes I wish I could be patient enough to understand that, because you really want something and it doesn't come, no matter how much you want it. Whether it's a love, money, better life, better job, better places, people, things. It is what it is. But you all have a good Sunday night. Enjoy House of the Dragon if you're going to watch that. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next Sunday. Same time, 7:30.